Cars 2 shows that racing teaches friendship, support, but also emphasizes the importance of competition and the drive to succeed. The Grand Prix races with Lightning McQueen's participation especially highlight these aspects. Let's look at the festival's racer participants and determine who among them could pose a serious threat to McQueen and who would not be able to win. So, the movie features 11 racers, and we will make a top list, starting with the least likely candidates for victory and ending with the strongest ones. Outside of the festival, one can definitely single out Rip Kluczkiewski, who failed to achieve significant results and who was never shown as the best racer, despite his potential. Of course, at the initial stages Rip Kluczkiewski showed decent results, the ability to surpass rivals, like at the Tokyo race, where he managed to move up from 5th position to 3rd. However, due to his rookie enthusiasm he often could not focus on the race and did not use his full potential. For example, in Tokyo his performance was disrupted by the intervention of the Lemons gang. Subsequently, Rip failed to confirm his sporting achievements and often found himself at the tail end of the racers. He lost confidence, and his performances became unconvincing. Given his inexperience and insufficient concentration, Rip Kluczkiewski is not a competitor for either McQueen or other festival leaders. Thus, although Rip Kluczkiewski had potential and at times showed good results, his inexperience and insufficient attention to the races make him unable to pose serious competition to McQueen and other experienced festival participants. When discussing the racer, he hails from the fictional country of the Republic of New Rwandia and represents our beloved character, Trip. It seems that Pixar intentionally crafted this fictitious nation for the racer to handle his storyline sensitively, ensuring it wouldn't cause distress among the audience. In the initial stages of Cars 2 development, the creators had envisioned Trip Kluczkiewski's fate to involve him succumbing to the radiation device. As a result, in the international version, he is named Rip Kluczkiewski, with Rip signifying rest in peace, and Kluczkiewski playing on the concept of clutch vanishing into the sky. Real-life concept. Visually, Trip most closely resembles the modern-day sports car Caparo T1, a British mid-engine, rear-wheel drive two-seater built by Caparo Vehicle Technologies with a 575 horsepower output. The T1 was inspired by Formula One cars and conceived as a relatively affordable road-legal racing car. This car had greater potential and was even considered for service on the M25 motorway in England, where authorities felt that speed enthusiasts often went wild. The police department ordered a special Caparo T1 patrol vehicle, which still faithfully serves the police. Unfortunately, after releasing many models, the company ran into a crisis and went bankrupt in 2015. The next racer, in my opinion, is also not very competitive, and that is Nigel Gearsley. He is like a gray mouse in the whole racing event. If Rip Kluczkiewski aroused some emotions and was noticeable in the races, then Nigel is just an invisible racer. Considering how many times I rewatched Cars 2, this character is practically not memorable to me at all. So, it's no wonder that given how little screen time he was given, he is ranked as completely non-competitive against our McQueen. I can say that Nigel represents Britain and is painted dark emerald green. Previously, Nigel was noticed as a successful racer, and he has quite an interesting story. At the beginning of his career, he started climbing Aston Hill, which his family did all the time, so he got into motorsports confidently and calmly but was unable to prove himself. Here's my English translation. Starting in 4th position in Tokyo, he came in 5th at the finish line, and in other races he did not prove himself at all in. D did not even make it into the top 3. The Lemons also blew up his engine in Porto Casa. In general, an average character by all parameters and does not stand out at all against the rest. Real-life concept. Perhaps Nigel Gearsley is the only racer of all presented who is immediately recognizable by his looks. He is not just visually similar, he is a direct copy of the Aston Martin DBR9, and his number 9 also hints at this. The Aston Martin DBR9 is a racing car built by Aston Martin Racing, debuted in 2005, and actively participated in international sports car racing until the end of the GT1 category in 2011. The DBR9 name comes from the DBR1 car that won Le Mans 24 Hours, named after owner David Brown, who by the way won the 24-hour race in 1959 and became the world champion in sports cars. As we get closer to the competing racers, I get closer to my favorites of the entire World Grand Prix. The next racer on this list is the Brazilian and only girl among all the guys, Carla Veloso. Carla Veloso represents Brazil and is painted teal blue. And here I will say that Carla is quite an experienced racer who can pull the blanket over herself in races. She is also a racing car, but unlike Trip, she definitely wants to win the competition. Her first race in Tokyo is extremely successful for her and she even enters the top 3 strongest rivals, along with McQueen and Francesco Bernoulli. She is also given little attention in the footage, but in all moments she is focused on winning and does not allow herself or others to relax. I am sure Carla would have had a great future if not for the race in Porto Casa, where the Lemons also tested their gun on her and burned out her engine. I am sure if the Lemons decided to test someone else, she could easily become a trio of leaders again. She just needed a little more confidence because she is very quiet, even taking third place in Japan. They did not even show how she comments on the race. Real concept. There are many rumors about who exactly Carla Veloso looks like, but she is closest in design to the Peugeot 908 HDI FAB sports car, a racing car developed by Peugeot to participate in endurance racing. The car was actively involved in the European Le Mans Series, ELMS, from 2007 to 2010. The engine of this car can easily develop up to 800 horsepower. The 908 HDI had success in motorsports, but in 2010 all Peugeot 908 HDI FABs failed. And in 2011, the Peugeot factory team uses only the new Peugeot 908 in racing series, abandoning the Peugeot 908 HDI FAB. In turn, the Oreca racing team continues to use the Peugeot 908 HDI FAB in the appropriate tournaments. Visually, the sports car was just fantastic. It's a pity it failed in motorsports. Well, here began the moment when we moved from modest racers to those who really wanted to win the tournament and rushed to the finish line. One of these daring guys is Raul Carul, the favorite of many of my subscribers. You often ask me to analyze him, so today I will try to reveal his full potential at the World Grand Prix. First of all, this is the first rally racer featured in our issue. He represents France. Externally he is painted red and blue. The phrase, rouler vite, is written on his wheels, which translates from French as, ride fast, or go fast. He is not shown very often in cars too, but the commentators of the Tokyo race emphasize his strengths on the rally terrain of the track, because like McQueen he is able to easily pass sections with difficult passability, dirt and soil. Where all previous racers would have slowed down long ago, the daring Raul Carul would only gain momentum. Unfortunately in Porto Casa he could not show such a dominant performance as in Japan and was often seen as one of the last on the list, and then got into an accident and stopped completely. In the Cars 2 finale, by the way, he confidently started the race in Radiator Springs, so who knows what his place would have been, considering that the road of our town is not as smooth as sports tracks. I like Raul. He is very active, daring, but not rude. He knows his worth and is confident in his abilities, so his performance in Tokyo impressed me especially. If he hadn't been such a one-sided racer who can only win on the dirt, he might have succeeded. Additional Cars 2 files also indicate an unusual story about this character. He performed in Cirque du Voiture, a kind of French circus, where he learned gymnastics and rally drifting, so he has no problems with difficult tracks. He also won more than 9 rally races in a row. Real concept. Raul most resembles the Citroën C4 WRC, a World Rally car built for the Citroën World Rally team by Citroën Racing to participate in the World Rally Championship. It is based on the Citroën C4 road car and replaced the Citroën XR WRC. The car debuted in the 2007 World Rally Championship season and has since earned the driver's title in the hands of Sébastien Loeb every year, as well as the manufacturer's title in 2008, 2009 and 2010. You can study the history of the car in more detail on Wikipedia. It has many racing events and festivals that it successfully passed in rally races. The next racer is also quite popular, and often occupies a significant role in the cartoon. This is Miguel Camino, a daring, bright and very eager to overtake racer from Spain. Painted yellow with juicy red and yellow ornaments, his fiery temperament leaves no chance for other racers, and by his driving it is immediately clear that this guy came to win. If you wanted to see a fast and bright and most importantly bold racer, then Miguel is a mixture of all this. He is fast enough, focused, and generally makes an impression of a real cool competitor to the veteran of racing. True, luck was clearly not on his side all stages of the races. In Japan he was the first one they tested the emitter on. Fortunately there was a pit stop nearby and he was not seriously affected, but in Porto Casa due to Shu Todoroki's explosion, there was an accident in which Miguel again could not break out into any leadership positions. It feels like he just had no luck in all the championships, but the potential of such a racer is undeniable. He was a bullfighter and could successfully deal with huge yellow metal buffaloes, so he is so fearless towards such rivals that even after the first accident in Tokyo, it did not break his spirit and he tried to achieve leadership in other races as well. And I remind you that the first racers in this episode, the engine explosion broke them morally. In my opinion, if the races were held without the Lemons gang and the race was held without accidents, Miguel could easily enter the top 3 strongest. At one point in the Tokyo race when Francesco overtakes him, you can see how he gets angry about it, but his desire for victory is truly impressive. Miguel Camino's full name is a nod to the Chevrolet El Camino. Camino is a Spanish word and translates as road. Real concept. Many speculate that Miguel resembles the RX-7 Re Amamiya Aspera drink model, and indeed the RX-7 in this form looks very similar to Camino, but I tend to think that Miguel Camino is the Chevrolet Corvette C6. The R is a Grand Tourer racing car built by Pratt & Miller and Chevrolet for endurance racing. The engine of this model produces about 800 horsepower, and although the first GT1 version has been discontinued, the second still calmly participates in races. But again, I repeat that the real concept is still a similar design. Pixar itself never gave a definitive answer as to exactly which car they were inspired by to create the character. This will be the first part of the analysis of all the racers of the World Grand Prix. I tried to include in this episode all the talented but less successful than those that will already be in the second part of our analysis. The main thing I tried to show today is how different, charismatic, completely dissimilar characters were rushing to win. Pixar did an incredible job of finding such images to create fierce competition for McQueen. In the second part, I will already show those racers who really posed a competition, and believe me, even McQueen himself will not be in my opinion in first place as the winner of the tournaments. And if anyone forgot, I remind you that due to the exposure of Axelrod, the races were declared invalid, and even at the end of Cars 2 we did not find out who remained the winner. Well, that's all. Subscribe to the channel if you liked it, like it, and bye for now.